All right, friends of friends, we're talking hip flexors today. Hip flexors are the front of your thighs, the front of your hips, going up into the front of your core, okay? If we sit too much, they begin to shorten. When we have any shortening of any muscle group, it's going to start throwing off the balance in our body. When our body becomes imbalanced, our risk of injury rises. So I want to talk about how to properly stretch our hip flexors. So one hip flexor stretch that we like, it's not that we dislike it, it's just how we're putting the awareness and intention in the body is we'll do this kneeling stretch. And what you see a lot of people do is they just dive into their hip flexors and they get this big extension in the lower back. Or worse, they're leaning here and they're not getting any stretch. Okay, we are getting stretch here some, but we're also really extended in the lower back. Okay, we don't want to be overextending in the lower back. So how we cue this, how you should be doing it properly, is again, as we've talked about in our hamstring video, it's a contraction that creates the stretch. Okay, so we cue to contract the glute. That contraction provides stability for the hip flexors to lengthen. How we get the good stretch is then we cue this posterior tilt in the hips as we contract, and then all you've got to do is just lean into it slightly to get this gnarly stretch of these hip flexors. I'm contracted here, I'm rotated posteriorly here, I'm getting a nice stretch here, and my back is neutral. I'm not putting any strain on my lower back. And then we can come out of it for a count. Big squeeze, posteriorly rotate, push in just slightly, and that's all we need for a good hip flexor stretch, okay? So get out of the extension of your back, create the contraction in your glutes, get a gnarly stretch on the hip flexors. That's what we got for you.